We would like to thank your sponsor, Valley First, a division of First West Credit Union and a member-owned financial cooperative serving the Okanagan, Similkameen, and Thompson regions. They offer a wide range of banking and investment services for individuals and families. Valley First also has a talented business and commercial team to provide the expertise, products, and services local businesses need to grow and thrive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Business Matters, presented by Valley First, a division of First West Credit Union. My name is Rob Capello, and today we welcome Cassie Clarke to Business Matters. Cassie, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Rob. I'm excited to be here.
No problem. Cassie is a marketing strategist and owner of Sunny Place Studio. So we're going to talk a little bit about both, maybe. But before we do, I was curious about your journey because I was looking last night of sort of your LinkedIn profile and everything you were doing or you have done. So you went to the Art Institute of Vancouver for a diploma in event management. And then when you graduated, you started working as a wedding assistant, I believe, in the industry. But then it didn't last long. You went into marketing pretty quickly. So why the switch? Like, what happened? You're like, this isn't for me. I'm going into marketing.
It was a few things. So I was working after I did the marketing job. I went back to event management and worked with weddings and catering.
Okay.
It was full on. It was weekends gone, nights gone. So it was not the schedule I was looking for. I didn't realize that when I went to school for it. And then COVID happened. So that's kind of where the shift came from. Like everybody else, I'm sure everyone was panicking, especially with events because they were pretty much obsolete during COVID. So I had to find another plan. I was living in Australia at the time and did Pilates on the side as a hobby. I absolutely loved it. It's really popular over there. So decided to go for it and get my certification in Pilates and loved it. It was the best decision I've ever made. So moved back shortly after to Kelowna and then became certified here. I did my test and everything online. And then started teaching in town for my very first job at Club Pilates. So yeah.
Oh, interesting. So how did where's home? First of all, like where's home? Because I saw that you've been in Calgary, went to school in Vancouver, Kelowna, Australia, but where's home for you?
Kind of a nomad. I don't really belong. Kelowna is my home. My family's here. I was born and raised here, but I always get the itch to leave. So I've lived in many places.
Interesting. So you spent some time in Calgary, and then you made the move here and you worked at the Kelowna Curling Club.
Yes, I did.
And how did that happen? Like, how did that come together? Like, where did you get the opportunity to work there?
That was I used to work for Jock when I first started serving when I was like 19 years old. We got along really well. And then he saw that I had gone to school for event management and a position just opened up. He was previously doing all the events himself and wanted to put all that on somebody else. So he contacted me. We knew each other from beforehand. So he knew my work ethic and all that. So yeah, that's how I got that job. I did love it. It was a full-time job. It was a lot, but learned a lot from it too.
Interesting. So then you're not done moving. You're in Kelowna and you're like, I'm going to Australia. So what brought you to Australia? That's a long way to go.
Yeah, a very cliche story actually. So I met my boyfriend at Big White, who's Australian. So I'm sure that story's been heard a few times. Okay. And then he stayed here for 2 years, and then we had to go back to Australia because he had to finish up his degree over there, and he couldn't postpone it any longer. So we had no choice. But I loved it. It was great.
So was it difficult for you getting settled into Australia, living and like new culture, all that? Was it like, what have I done?
Yes, I did have that moment of panic. But like anything, you have to actually put yourself out there and try to assimilate to the new culture. So it took me about 6 months to feel really comfortable there. And his family and stuff was there too. So that helped. But yeah, 6 months, the first 6 months were a bit rough. I was like, I'm going home. This is not
it's hilarious. Yeah. So you were in Australia for I think almost 4 years, right? Yeah. Like you were there for a while. So you had enough of the kangaroos and like we're moving back to Kelowna.
Yes. Well, I would move back there in a heartbeat. I loved Australia. I have family here and I'm a family gal. Wouldn't seem that way because I'm constantly leaving my family. But I always come back. I just miss them so much. And I've got a dog who's getting old too. So he played a big part in that.
Fair enough. So then you mentioned when you were in Australia, you were a student or a consumer of Pilates. Is that the way it started? You started getting into it, and that's where the sort of the interest for Pilates came from?
Yeah, so it's interesting here. I find Canada is behind in many things, and fitness being one of them. Pilates is everywhere in Australia. Every block there's a Pilates studio, and it's such a good culture over there with community and fitness. And you go to a class, and then you have a coffee after with friends, and then you go to an event on the weekend that the fitness studio is hosting. So that culture, I find, maybe in the bigger cities, but not necessarily here in Kelowna, has emerged yet. So having that inspiration, I was like, I need to do something here. There's so much opportunity for something a little bit more than what's being offered.
Interesting. So for someone like myself that has zero knowledge of Pilates, how would you explain to someone? So what is Pilates?
It's not yoga. It's not yoga. It does look like there's two types of Pilates. There's mat Pilates, and then there's like the Pilates on that medieval torture machine we call a reformer.
Okay.
That's what my boyfriend calls it. So there's the two kinds. Reformer, you have a little bit more flexibility with movement, so you add on resistance, which can help tone muscles a little bit more. But both options are a really good workout.
Interesting. So how do you become a Pilates instructor? Like, did you have to go to school to like, are you certified, or how does that, like, how do you get qualified to be an instructor?
There's different programs you can take, and depending on the program, it kind of varies. The one I took in Australia was anatomy, was for the first the first little bit, and it was online at the time because of COVID, so we couldn't do it in person. But they do, I wouldn't say an in-depth look in anatomy, but you have to understand the basics. And then there's other programs that go deep dive into anatomy that last about 2 years, so you get actual diploma. And then they go on to the hands-on exercises, doing all the repertoire and making sure that you understand how the muscles connect to the movements.
Right. Interesting. So when you move back to Kelowna, you're doing Pilates. Were you teaching when you moved back? Were you teaching Pilates when you first got back to Kelowna?
So it was about a month before I started teaching, because
Okay.
I left before I was able to get certified. So I took my test here, and then started teaching right after that at Club Pilates. They took me on as a junior instructor. So that was nerve-wracking. I remember teaching my first class and I was like shaking.
That's hilarious.
You get used to it pretty quickly.
That's funny. So when did you come up with the idea, like, I'm going to do this myself? I'm going to open my own company. Like, how did that come about?
I have had this image in my head for a really long time on the kind of, if I were to open up something, what the brand would be and what it would represent. And there's nothing in Kelowna yet that, has that brand. Very bright, it's exciting, it's fun, there's good music involved. And I guess this something similar you could compare it to would be Pace Spin Studio. They have done a really good job at, including community into their workouts and making sure people come back on weekends and stuff. But at the moment, it's just one reformer I have that hopefully plans to expand in the future. So we'll see.
And you run Sunny Place Studio out of your home?
I do, yes. So we've got a little carriage house out the back that we've turned into a studio.
So is there a difference between when people say Pilates and in what you do is reformer Pilates? Is there a difference, or is there just different types of Pilates?
So can be different, depends. So you can use Pilates however you want, really. You can do it as a strength training, and you can do it, for example, at Club Pilates, there's different flows. So you can do like a cardio-based Pilates, where you can jump up and down on what we call a jump board. It's like a trampoline for adults, which is really fun. I feel like you should try that one. You'd love it. And then we've got like a flow, sort of more slow-paced. You can add heavier springs, and then you can do like stretching. It's very versatile.
And is it for like all levels? Someone that's like never done it before, or are they like, would you say like maybe not, or is it advanced? Like, do you work with all types?
Yeah, all types. Pilates is really known for being a very low impact exercise. So people with mobility issues, or people who don't have much range of motion in their limbs or muscles, can do Pilates. You can make it as hard or as easy as you'd like. So depending on how advanced you are, you can do things that are too advanced for people at the beginning, but you can tailor it to whoever.
Interesting. And is there specific like health benefits, like people with like sore backs it's good for, or like is there athletes, is there anything that, or all the above?
Yeah, it's good for everyone. Honestly, we get people I've had have had disc bulging. They've
Right,
had
right.
really, really bad lower back pain, which can stem from many things. And I think a lot of it times it stems from not having proper core engagement, which is something that we teach in Pilates. And you'd be surprised at how many people think that core engagement is just flexing your front muscles on
Yeah,
your belly. And
yeah.
it's not, and I mean, that's a type of core engagement, yes, but the core engagement that you really want to focus on is that deep core engagement from your transverse abdominis, which is your deepest core muscle. And that's what's going to help with the lower back pain and a lot of the pain that we see in the clients that come through.
Interesting. And then say that you haven't done this before, and someone books a session with you. What can they expect during a session? What does it look like, feel like? What will they experience?
I usually ask them before they come. So if they're somebody who works out often, I don't want them to leave feeling unsatisfied. So, but on the other hand, if there's somebody who just is recovering from an injury, their workout's going to be a lot different from what I would give somebody who's looking for like a sweaty workout. So it's tailored to kind of whatever you're looking for. My personal favorite is pushing people to their limit. I like to get people sweating. Like sick entertainment for me, but but yeah, it depends on the person coming. It can be tailored pretty much to anybody.
So if someone's interested, how do they go about booking a session? Like how are you building your clientele? Like how do people find you, or how do people book sessions with you?
At the moment, I'm just on Instagram, working on a website, so that'll be launched hopefully in the next couple of weeks, which is exciting. But at the moment, just word of mouth mostly. I still have a few other jobs, so trying to ease it in so I can control the demand. But at the moment, just on Instagram, which is sunnyspace.pilates. So if they want to go there and book, they can just send me a message. I'd be happy to reach out.
So how do you balance, you said, like, because I know, your role as a marketing strategist, you're an instructor at Pilates, you have your own business. Like, so how do you balance all that and still find, when do you fit in Cassie time and all that? Like, how do you balance all that?
You don't. Wing it. Every week is different too, and I like it. I like to be on my toes. I hate the routine of doing the same thing over and over and over again. So this lifestyle really suits me. I've gotten quite good at balancing everything and moving from one job to the next and making sure everything's on time. But it took a while to get there. But I do enjoy it.
Do you ever like literally shut everything off, decompress, and go, I don't want to talk to anyone, I don't see anyone, I'm just going to be like
Yeah.
staring at the wall
Every night, my poor boyfriend's trying to have a conversation with me. I'm like, no, I'm at my max capacity for social interaction today. I can't do it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's funny. So I warned you before this. I was going to ask you about this because I'm so jealous. And you just spent a month in Italy.
I did.
And
Yes.
so how is that?
Oh, well, it was really good. I gained a few pounds.
Lots of carbs.
Lots of carbs. It was amazing. It was my favorite place I've ever been to. It just would love to live that lifestyle every day if I could. They know how to do life really well over there.
What was your favorite place? What was your favorite? Because I would assume you guys traveled around and
Yeah.
what stood out?
We started in Sicily. I really liked Sicily. The people there were really amazing, super, super hospitable. The seafood was incredible. So if you're a big seafood buff, I highly recommend Sicily. My favorite, and I think was Tuscany. And because we were go, go, go the whole time, at least the place you go to relax. You want to see as much as you can and get it all in. So we were doing that up until Tuscany. And then we took 4 days in Tuscany to just stay in one place, eat really good food, not push ourselves going to a million places. So for that reason, I think Tuscany, but all of them were just so cool. And it felt like you were in a different country every place you went because it's also different.
Right.
Yeah.
So now when you come back here, you're sworn off Italian food for a while, or?
Yeah, I just had my first pasta yesterday.
You're like, no more pizza.
It was about a solid month.
I imagine.
Yeah, it was fun. And they don't do other cuisines over there really well. So you can't even go and find Asian or, Mediterranean. It was pretty funny.
I see lots on TikTok, the Italian McDonald's. So you probably could have found a McDonald's somewhere.
But I told myself I would not do that before.
You're like, what did you eat in Italy? A Big Mac.
Yeah. I'd rather just indulge in another Alfredo.
That's hilarious. So back to Sunny Place, I want to wrap up is what's your goal for Sunny Place, dude? Like, if you're, a year down the road? Do you want to have your own physical location outside of the home that you have multiple, reformers, and like, is that excite you with different instructors, or you kind of want to keep it more boutique?
I love the boutique aspect of it, but my goal, and at the end of the day, would probably be to open up something a little bit bigger. Working on that, it's a process, trying to find the right space. Instructors is a really big thing as well, because I find that there's not many instructors here, so trying to look at where they would come from, and there's a few different things to think about, but ideally my goal would be to open up something bigger, to have more group classes. Would be so fun.
And when do you think that will happen by?
Oh, I don't know.
When are you hoping?
And then not deliver on it. To be safe, a year, maybe.
Okay.
Not
Within 12, how about within 12 months?
Okay, that sounds good.
That's fair. You can push it right to the 11th month if you want.
I know. I'm going to go back and be like, damn it, I said that. I've got to deliver.
Awesome. Well, Cassie, thanks for chatting today. I could have just spent all 20 minutes talking about Italy, and you probably know that, but I spared you just one question on it. So, but thanks for chatting, and best of luck with Sunny Place Studio. We're gonna check in a year from now. I'm gonna write it down, and we're gonna do it right from your studio. We're gonna do live stream from your studio.
You'll be my first client.
Oh my gosh.
You're on that reformer.
And your last.
We'll have to film it as well. That would be fantastic.
Thanks for joining, and look forward to seeing where you go. And everyone else, have a great rest of your day, and thank you for tuning into Business Matters.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Cassie.
We would like to thank your sponsor, Valley First, a division of First West Credit Union and a member-owned financial cooperative serving the Okanagan, Similkameen, and Thompson regions. They offer a wide range of banking and investment services for individuals and families. Valley First also has a talented business and commercial team to provide the expertise, products, and services local businesses need to grow and thrive.